So next we'll move on to the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda will be approved in one motion unless any board member requests that an item be removed for individual discussion. That item can be discussed at an appropriate time during the board's regular order of business or under the new business. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the last regular board meeting and the bill approval for January 2025 in the amount of $75,543.48?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved and motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the minutes from the last regular board meeting and the bill for January 2025 in the amount of $75,543.48, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed. Next we have the committee reports. For the policy review committee, we did meet, when was it, a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep, beginning of this month.
Yeah. And Jackie gave us a wonderful presentation on how basically the laws are written and everything for our collection development policy. And
Ooh, I want to give a shout out to Kippley and Katie, right?
Yeah.
Kippley and Katie did a wonderful
Yeah.
presentation on, it was not recycling, what was, oh my gosh. They were talking about picking and weeding.
Selecting
That
and
was the
weeding.
word.
Mhm.
Selecting and weeding, thank you.
yes.
All right, continue, sorry.
So it helped us to understand the process so that we can understand how the policy should look and be able to review it in a better mindset. So we are meeting again soon to actually start like weeding through the policy to approve it, so it'll come before the board by May, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, we have a bill up, or a policy up today that we have approved, so we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Mhm.
And that's all I have for that one. Special Events Outreach and Fundraising Committee. Matthew's not here, but Ann could probably talk
Yeah,
on
I
it a
mean,
little bit.
so I can talk about it, and just really the main thing is that Jackie put together a very nice presentation and outline to an area business. What we're hoping to do is get some sponsorship from area businesses for a couple of our spaces, and especially looking at the need for private, quiet areas for people to meet, have Zoom meetings, with all the people so many people still working from home. We were hoping to get area businesses to maybe donate time or money to fix these areas up and really make them presentable, and of course we would have naming rights for those organizations. So we're going to continue working on that. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. Looking at just tons of new opportunities on the horizon, really looking to connect with our amazing community organizations that we have. So much industry in Menomonee Falls, so I think some really awesome partnership opportunities coming up on the horizon.
I would agree with that. Next, new business items for discussion, action, or possible approval. Discuss and consider for approval 2024 annual report pending completion of financial reporting by Village Finance. I get a motion to approve. And a second.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
So we do not actually have a completed annual report for you tonight. Village Finance was not able to get us the numbers that we needed in order to complete the annual report. So the annual reports for libraries are due to the state of Wisconsin by the end of February. And We have been working on it for a few months behind the scenes, but we found out late last week that the village was not going to be able to complete the last minute finances, financial portions that they needed. So last minute payroll, insurance calculations, journal entries, things like that, which make a very significant impact on our annual report. And as you know, all of these annual reports, once they are approved and sent to the state, these play a really important role when we are talking about the amount of cross-county reimbursement, inter-county reimbursement, even local municipal funding. So these reports are very, very important. After consulting with the village manager, I was able to get an extension from the state so that we will be able to approve this report next month at the March meeting, so that village finance has a little bit more time to get those numbers that they need. My understanding is that they had a delay because of a new software integration, so they were focused on that and weren't able to get the numbers that we need, unfortunately.
I have a request for Ellen, because I am curious. Is there a way for you to estimate the loss of funding that we could potentially have by having an incorrect annual reporting? Could you have something by next meeting, do you think? Just a rough estimate of what that, in other words, if we don't get our annual report in, what does that cost us as a library? Because we need the funding somehow, right? So I'd like to know what that potential loss would be if we don't submit a funding report. Do we have a way of calculating?
So that would be all of the adjacent county reimbursement requests that we wouldn't be able to submit. Technically, we do have until June to get those submitted, but we would be losing well over $50,000 if we didn't submit those requests for reimbursement. So that's from one municipality alone, one county alone, Washington County alone. If we wouldn't submit that reimbursement request, that's about $50,000, and that's just one county. So it's a significant amount of our revenue that we don't have to rely on the local taxpayer for.
And that's the number I'd like.
Yeah.
That's the number I'd like to know, is that number that if we don't get that out, what is that going to reflect to the taxpayer?
It also impacts the entire Waukesha County Library budget. So all the stuff I talked about last week,
Yep.
that goes into the formula on how much it costs. So our portion, I should say, the village's apportionment, that gets impacted as well if those numbers aren't accurate.
If you can ballpark a number, I mean, look on the conservative side, which is fine, but I'm just curious what that pass-through number might look like.
It's a little impossible to calculate that.
Well, in other words, what would have it cost us last year?
If we just didn't submit a report.
If we submitted an incomplete report, if we're missing the things, let's sidebar. But really what I want to know is, if we don't submit an annual report on time and our funding is potentially going to be less, what costs are we going to potentially have to pass through in order to make sure that we're a funded library for that annual report?
At that point, it becomes so much bigger than just our library, because like Ellen said, we're part of the larger Waukesha County formula. So if our library doesn't submit that annual report, then we're not able to be part of that equation. So it impacts every other library in Waukesha and potentially Jefferson County when we're talking about those equations for determining those reimbursements. So it's not even about like what a dollar amount that we would lose. It's about like Menomonee Falls Public Library potentially impacting funding for dozens of libraries, so that it wouldn't even be about money that we would lose at that point. It'd be about something much bigger than that. So then at that point, the state would certainly be stepping in and saying like, hello, where's our report? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think that there is a way for us to put a dollar amount on it necessarily, because the repercussions of not having that report are just like truly endless. Like it's like a domino effect, one thing after another. I think if we would just keep chasing that, and then I wouldn't even know where to stop.
Just to switch gears for just a second, did the village give you a time frame as to like when they think it could be done?
So because there's so much that we have to do before it actually gets to you guys to approve, I did ask the finance director and the village manager if they could please adhere to a timeline that we set forth, so that, because once they send us that information, then we need to put it into our calculations so that it fits into the formulas for our annual report. They're not actually typing in the numbers for our annual report. They're giving us raw data that we have to then convert into the questions on the annual report. And then after that, we have to submit it to the director of Bridges Library System to look over and approve. And then the state of, we lock it, and on the module, the state of Wisconsin verifies the data, and then it comes to you guys for approval. So like, they got an extension, but really they only have like another week.
I was gonna say what
It's like a week and a half to get it done, so it's really not that big of an extension.
Okay. Keep us updated.
Certainly, yeah, if there's any other setbacks, I'll definitely let you know, but hopefully this, was just a one-time thing, and we're able to get this done, and we won't have to have this happen again.
All right, so we should.
I moved the table.
I was gonna say.
Yep.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to table the approval of the 2024 annual report until March. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passed.
We don't need to do the next one.
Okay. Next will be discuss and consider for approval President Barker's appointment of Tom Ewig as Chair of Finance Committee. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Give me a second.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
May I just say, you're all going to do a fine job on the Finance Committee, I'm certain. But seeing as I voted nay to the Finance Committee at our last meeting, I'll just abstain from all of these elections. So just be understood. Not that I don't think you'll do well. I know that you will.
Okay. All in favor of approving Tom Ewig as Chair of Finance Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
4 yeas, 1 abstain. Motion passed. Discuss and consider for approval President Barker's appointment of Ann Lesla as member of Finance Committee.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of appointing Ann Lesla as member of Finance Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
4 ayes, 1 abstain. Motion passed. Next, discuss and consider for approval President Barker's appointment of John Soper as a member of the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of appointing John Soper as a member of the Finance Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
4 yeas, 1 abstain. Motion passed. Discuss and consider for approval President Barker's appointment of Nicole Barker as member of the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of appointing Nicole Barker as member of the Finance Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. 4 yeas, 1 abstain, motion passed.
I know.
Next, discuss and consider for approval renaming the Special Events Fundraising and Outreach Committee to Special Projects Fundraising and Outreach Committee.
Motion to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? I just had a question.
Yeah.
Why were we decided, like, what made the change?
So we discussed that at the last policy meeting, or I'm sorry, at the I can't even keep my committee straight. We discussed that at the last committee meeting and determined that in terms of what the committee is actually working on, we're really not planning any events at all. We're working on special projects like these fundraising projects, like these initiatives. So we wanted to rename the committee to accurately represent what it's really become.
Well, then I would argue that the word events could fall into any one of those categories as well.
yeah.
Fundraising project or a fundraising event.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
That makes sense.
And I actually think this committee eventually is gonna go to meeting once a year, twice a year.
Yeah.
Just like what's on the docket.
I think that's
And
what
maybe
it was
it'll-
initially meant to,
Yeah,
you know.
we
this
wanted to
wasn't
see,
on-
yeah, is there even anything that happens with it? If there is, great, if there isn't, we'll say, okay, well, we tried, but, that's all I got.
Hey, I just wanted everybody to know. All right, all in favor of renaming the Special Events Fundraising and Outreach Committee to Special Projects Fundraising and Outreach Committee, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed. So next we have discuss and consider for approval policy review committee's recommended amendments to policy 3.07 makerspace policy. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion?
I guess I do have a couple, there was just a couple little questions. And I see that it's been changed. Where did it go? I know it used to say supplies are available on a donation-based structure. The library reserves the right to charge for any. In my opinion, people should be paying for supplies. It's nice enough that we have that really nice room and we have someone running it. So I'm just stating that for the future. I don't feel like supplies should be paid for. Just my opinion. But I think it's worded fine.
Why is it that way?
To say we had a reasoning and now mine.
There was a reasoning you gave for why it's free as opposed to being charged. Could you please explain that?
Yeah, so couple things. So we keep everything in the library free for everyone for an access reason, so that adheres to a lot of public library guidelines. Everything is meant to be free. Additionally, if we keep things on a donation-based structure, it avoids having to pay taxes on it, so that is also very helpful. Additionally, what we found is that just like we transitioned our book sales to donation-based versus charging 25 cents for a paperback, we're actually bringing in more money using the donation-based structure than we do on a charging structure, because people have the mentality of, okay, they're coming into the makerspace to use the button maker, they make 5 buttons. We have suggested donation prices of 25 cents a button, but they're gonna throw a $5 bill in the donation bin because they're just so grateful to be able to use the service. So it does work out that way, and sure, some people do use our resources and they probably don't pay anything, but we're not finding that we're unable to replenish the resources in the room. Additionally, a lot of the things in the space are donated. So anything from the ink pads in the space to a lot of the Cricut vinyl, we get donations all the time. So to charge for it when we get people dropping off carloads of donations just seems kind of unnecessary when we didn't pay for it in the first place.
And if I recall, one of the reasons for that as well, wasn't it for the 3D printers?
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't use, if I recall, what
Yes.
you said they
That was
basically
the big-
don't use as much of the supply as we even would have imagined.
That was the big concern when we first opened the makerspace, is that, oh, when you're buying a roll of filament, we were so concerned that people were going to be making these huge 3D printing creations, and we were, they were just going to use up a whole roll of filament and we were not going to have any money. But what we've actually found is that people make these teeny tiny little things, and it costs like, we recommended 10 cents a gram, so like a little print would be like $1.
Yeah.
We're not, the resources in the space are not very expensive. It's really the equipment in the room that people are using that's the expensive part. The consumables are not, we're not finding that it's becoming an issue for us, so.
Jackie, did I read in Storyteller, wasn't there two women who sponsored making something, and did that include the equipment too?
Yeah, for one
So-
of the programs,
Right.
they brought in all of the materials to
yes.
make the craft as
Right.
well, yeah.
So that happens, and that's not the first time that people donate the supplies for a craft project.
Yeah, even
right?
for the programs, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, just to kind of summarize all that, what Jackie was saying to answer your question is, essentially the money being made was minimal to the amount of donation coming in, and it just was an extra step for staff that at that point wasn't necessary for a minimal gain, and we're already making the money to restock the room.
And maybe I'm missing something, we can talk about it when we get to the, looking at what we have here for January, but, and maybe I'm just missing that part, but I thought too, like if there's special projects that the library friends, that's a piece that they will help donate the supplies needed.
Yeah.
So maybe these are two separate things that I'm mixing up. But I would be interested to know, like, what do we spend on supplies in a year? What is the total? If it's that minimal, then big deal. But if it is coming out to, hundreds, thousands, then it's something where, I know we discussed possibly people bringing in their own supplies for certain things.
Yeah.
So not paying, I think I said charging them, I meant people bringing in their own supplies.
Yeah,
Doing
absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I said it wrong. but-
Yeah, and that's two different things, right? So like
Yeah.
this policy really talks about the things that are in the space for anybody to use at any time.
Okay.
And what you're talking about, I think, is the program materials.
Yes.
So that when we have a wreath making
Make a-
program, that,
How to
right.
decorate.
Yeah.
lawns.
So those materials, those costs, and all of those programs, we consider those being funded by the donation. So
Okay.
whether or not they're sponsored, our Makerspace coordinator is great about getting sponsorships. If she doesn't get those sponsored, then they are funded by the Friends. If they're not funded by the Friends, then they come out of our donations for the year that we budget for.
So I was lumping it all.
No, that's all right, yeah.
Gotcha.
And very often after a program, I will get a wad of cash
Mm-hmm.
from the participants putting money into the donation
The
bucket
donations.
for,
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, good.
so.
Yeah, our Makerspace coordinator has a fundraising background, so she always starts the classes with a talk about the red donation bin.
Good.
If you're gonna measure costs, can we balance that with donations and show the two sides of it?
I
Is
mean, if
that-
you're telling me it's nothing, I don't even, if it really is truly that minimal,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna be worried about it.
Mhm.
if we're talking thousands, then I think that is something.
Oh,
to talk
right,
about.
yeah, oh, definitely, yeah, and with some, you know, when you think about craft classes, you think about all the consumables for those, so it makes, you know, obviously I understand where you're coming from with that, but for those larger projects, she always gets a sponsor for, so like some of the Friends, I sent you some of the Friends sponsorships, I don't know if you, I did reply to your email, and the things that the Friends sponsored, and some of the more expensive classes that she wanted for the Makerspace this year, the Friends paid for so that she was able to do them, so.
Well, and I also see in here too that it does say that, the library, may require makers to supply their own materials for projects that require large amounts of consumables. So,
Mhm.
That was it, I think we were talking about, oh, you're gonna come in and make 200 buttons.
Mhm.
We don't have the materials for you to make 200 buttons. We
Right.
got the button maker.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
Yep,
okay,
so.
sounds good.
did you wanna go over anything else?
really, a lot of it was mostly for clarification purposes. It's been a while since we looked at this policy, and the makerspace has changed and evolved into really what it is now. So just clarifying, nothing too major in terms of changes.
Yeah, it looked like it was more, a lot of it was just cleaning up the
Yep.
sentences and.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All in favor of approving policy 3.07, makerspace policy, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All approved. Next is the library board president's report. Honestly, I really didn't have anything. So we'll move on.
Could I just comment on your report? I would like to put that I wanted, and I don't know, someone maybe already did it while I'm sorry, I was late. The presentation that you and your team did for us.
Yes,
About
I
3
did.
weeks
I
ago.
spoke about it
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
in
it
the
was
policy
really
review
wonderful.
committee
Yeah.
report, yep.
Give a shout out at the.
Okay.
Yeah, Katie and Kifley did an awesome job.
Second show.
They really did, I mean.
They really made an impact.
Yeah.
We probably spent 2 hours.
Oh,
going through
yeah.
that. I mean, that first hour was
Yeah.
Kifley and Katie, the second hour, Jackie went through, it was wonderful.
Yeah, we talked about court cases and all kinds of fun stuff.
The weeds, weren't we?
Oh, we definitely got into the weeds, it was great. But it
No,
was,
really good
it was
discussion.
super insightful though, it
Yeah.
really was.
It was really cool. It was really nice.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Nope.
Shout outs are always good.
Yes. Jackie, you're
All
up.
right, I have a lot to talk about this month. It's been a great start to the year. It's been so busy. January was the busiest month that I have on record for most of our statistics, which is great. We reached milestones for checkouts, visitors, program attendees, new card holders. We had 3,000 more visitors to the building in January of 2025 than we did in January of 2019. Physical checkouts were up by 3,000 this year from last year, and digital checkouts were up by over 4,000. We made over 100 new cards than we did in January of 2019. So these milestones, these were reflected in all of our departments across the board. It's just been busier in the building. There's been more people, more checkouts, more people have, more books to reshelve. So it's been wonderful. The staff has been doing a great job keeping up with it. If you look at some statistics from the Youth Services Department, in January of 2019, we had 79 children complete the scavenger hunt that we have in the Children's Library. If you have children, you are aware of the scavenger hunt. We have seen the number grow each and every year. In January this year, we had 421 completions.
Oh my gosh.
In 2019, in 2019, we had 3 new registrations for 1,000 books before kindergarten in January. This January, we had 20. So it's really growing. People are catching on. We're seeing a lot more people using not only the children's library, but the teen the teen space, the adult library. It's really awesome. The new 500 Books Before Middle School program, which is sponsored by Bank 59, that has grown since we started it in January. We had 20 new registrations in January alone, and one child even bumped up a level already. So we got some super readers.
Those are incredible numbers, though. I mean,
It's
that's
wonderful.
just wonderful.
Yeah. And the scavenger hunt is great. It's really fun for the kids. They love scavenger hunts, but it also allows them to get familiar with the library, get familiar with the collections, where things are, where's nonfiction, where's picture books, where's chapter books. So it's awesome. Positive interactions with the staff when they're asking for clues. All good things, all wonderful things.
Can I just say that, point everybody's direction to the faxing that like almost doubled?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where is David when you need him?
Yeah.
That's what made me think of it. I looked at faxing, I was like, wow.
I told you everything went up. The coffee shop, for my coffee shop update, it also did really well in January. The library, we got over $700 in revenue last month, which is great. They did sponsor the refreshments for our February Docs and Donuts program, so we had 30 people in attendance for that. The attendees were able to try out their coffee, their pastries. They were super excited to hear about how Latitude came to be in the library, and they were really excited to hear that when they purchase something, a portion goes back to the library. So I think they got some new dedicated Latitude lovers from that.
That's a wonderful use of the partnership.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely
great.
wonderful use of that partnership there. That's fantastic.
The next edition of the Storyteller that's going to come out, it's going to have an ad for the upcoming specials at the cafe. And then we are also working on scheduling some free taste tests for people in the lobby so that Latitude will have a table down here. We're going to try to schedule it during a story time for the parents. I think they'll enjoy that, and grandparents. And then I have submitted some blurbs about the coffee shop to the Current, which is the Village's quarterly newsletter, and then I'm trying to get it in some other ones too.
That's wonderful, Jack.
Yeah, it's going really well, really well.
I appreciate
We're-
your initiative on that as well, for you and your staff to be doing that, to get the word out as
Mm-hmm.
well, working with Latitude in order to get that partnership really moving.
Yeah.
That's great news.
We're definitely getting in our stride here. We're getting in the groove, so it's awesome. I did, for facilities updates for you guys, I do have an update for you. So I did meet with Mark Fitzgerald and Tom Hoffman from the Village on January 22nd to discuss libraries facilities planning. So it's Tom's intent to actually hire a firm to come through the building and do a systems review of all of our facilities, conduct an inventory of all of our mechanicals and building needs, and eventually this will be part of a software that the Village is going to use for all their municipal buildings, and this software system is going to keep track of the mechanical lifespans, the service history. So every time somebody comes out to service our boiler, they're going to put a note in on there, and then we're also going to know what their expected lifespan is, so that when we're looking at budget planning, we can pull that up and see, okay, well, 2030 boiler, so we need to focus on that.
So does it all go into one document, like computerized?
It's like a computer software system, so every village,
Pretty cool.
yeah,
Village level, and then go down to the different.
yeah,
Well, and I
Probably
think
get tickers too, saying, this is coming due.
right.
Okay.
So I believe he said that he had it done for Village Hall. I want to say it was Village Hall, and that it's his intent to do it for the library, but it all kind of has to fall into place. So that sounds promising. It's a lot more than I've heard ever before, so that's going to be awesome. I'm excited that I don't have to try to do a building inventory of the boilers and things like that, because I was ready, but I don't know anything about it. So that's really, really awesome.
And I'm
If they
grateful,
make you
Jackie.
do it, give me a call.
Right? Thank you, I appreciate
Why
that.
not?
You come in and you're like, hey, I'm here, they actually hired me. We also had a discussion about what's a capital improvement versus what's maintenance, and that continues to be kind of a fine line. So I showed them some examples of what other libraries give their municipalities when it comes to both short-term and long-term maintenance requests. For instance, Waukesha Public Library, they give their municipality like a 5-year plan of maintenance requests, and then their city council approves a 5-year plan of, yeah, we're gonna commit to, in the next 5 years, you know, working on the elevator, working on carpeting, these things for the library. And a couple other examples, but really the consensus that I got from talking to a lot of different libraries is there's really no good, really good system. There's no gold standard system that really seems to work. Every municipality is different. So what we felt would be good moving forward in terms of looking towards the future, as I'm talking about, you know, flooring replacement, eventually going to the second floor, projects like that, things that are not boiler and elevator, since we're really waiting on that consultant to come in. Mark and Tom both felt that it would be good to move forward working with the design firm that I mentioned during budget season last year and then in committee before this meeting to determine flooring for the first floor, wall coverings, costs for furnishings, costs for new cabinetry and things like that in the staff area, for the rest of the first floor now that children's is done, so that we can just have some rough budget numbers going into 2026 budget season, just to have, even if it's not going to happen in 2026, just to have a better understanding of what exactly we're looking at, so that they will be able to say, yep, we can handle, you know, tackling carpeting in 2026 and wall coverings in 2026, but then the library, you know, while you're at it, you know, you could do this, this, and this, and then we'll be able to figure out on our end our contributions. So we did budget funds this year to work with them to get some of those consultations started. So I will start those conversations with them just to start getting some rough estimates, because budget season will be here before we know it. It's almost March.
Well, that starts right after annual report, so I'm kind of in a tizzy right
Yeah.
now. I can't start my budget.
Yeah.
Jackie, I thank
You
you.
don't know what to do with yourself.
You know that I've been interested in the facilities management thing for a while, or maintenance thing. So I thank you for the ongoing communication. I hope that keeps.
Yeah,
up. So that's
absolutely.
excellent.
And
Excellent.
while I can't necessarily do some of the bigger things like boilers,
Elevator.
HVAC, some of those larger mechanicals, I can work on some of the smaller things, such as just preventive maintenance on making sure that we're getting a schedule for carpet cleaning, making sure that we're, you know, getting the bathroom floors cleaned, you know, regular things, that making sure the bathroom fans are working. So developing a schedule with maintenance to make sure that we are actually sticking to it and that we have a PM schedule, because that's really, really important. So I can do those things. I'm confident in that. And I feel like that it does play a role in the budget as well. Although it is smaller, a lot of those do fall into the 221 budget. So they are in the budget that we largely work with village maintenance with. So I'm going to work on that so that we have a better understanding for the 2026 budget as well as to what we'll be needing in 2026.
Jackie, I think we had it in our budget to clean that exterior, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that happening then this year?
I believe it's going to happen in spring, yeah.
Yeah, that
It's-
is needed.
It's getting really
Curious if
bad.
that black stuff, like, that's just like mold from being in like areas where there's no sun, yeah.
Mhm.
Back.
Yeah.
It's also the black roof, the tar and the.
Oh, okay.
because of the
Stain.
black roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
That too.
Okay.
Yeah, I found a company that got really good reviews, and they do really tall buildings like ours, so hopefully it works well.
Sparkling this summer.
Hopefully. So then once we know what the needs are in terms of the building, then we can kind of have those conversations with the village that are still the gray areas, like bathroom remodels. Whose responsibility is that for when we're eventually going to need new, like the entire bathrooms redone? I mean, they are reaching their lifespan as well. So is that a library budget or is that a village budget item? Those are the things that we all kind of have to hash out. But I think the main priority right now really remains those bigger items, getting that inventory done and working on that. So
It's good though.
That's good.
It's happening.
progress.
It's happening now.
It's happening. Yeah, very exciting.
Yes, we know now.
Making progress,
Mm-hmm.
that's great.
Yeah.
And I am excited about that program. I mean, I would envision that you can submit then work tickets and stuff like that.
I hope so, yeah.
So I think that'll look great on the village side.
Yeah.
And then filter it down on our
Mhm.
end.
Yeah, it'll be way
Tom's really
easier
good at
to, coordinate everything as well, so that way you're kind of on a plan and there's less oopsies that,
Right.
that would happen if you're on a plan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that all you got?
Yes.
All right, next is Ann.
We went over the fire department's year-end report, and Chief Pulvermacher gives a great presentation every time, and went over how they are staff-wise, 35 career firefighters, 36 part-time, 17 support staff, 5,632 calls. That included EMS, fire, false alarm. One thing, it's kind of interesting, we didn't even talk about it this year, but I think everyone here might think it's interesting, is it used to be that a lot of the calls were in senior living communities because a lot of the senior living groups had no lift policies in place for their staff. Well, that, you can imagine, was costing us a fortune and so much time for our fire department. Well, with a little work with the senior living communities now, we actually charge to make those calls. So those have drastically decreased as they are now training their staff to do these lifts. Of course, if someone has fallen and is bleeding or is in pain, then you call EMS. But we were getting calls for everything. Sally slips out of her chair. It's like all that. So our calls have been way down on that side, so that is great. Another really interesting thing is that our highest calls are Wednesdays during the day. And I thought that was so funny. I thought for sure it'd be Friday night, Saturday. But we double our population basically in Menomonee Falls during the weekdays because of all the businesses we have.
Yes, for sure.
And so Wednesdays must be just a popular day.
I don't know, that seems to be my most busiest day at work as well, so
Yeah,
I don't know,
that's
must be
so funny.
something in like healthcare. I don't know.
Yeah, so Monday through Friday, 8 to 8 are the highest calls, but Wednesdays were the highest. Station, we call it Station 99 now, that was Station 3 right on Lily. That's all completed. I'm sure you could do a tour if you ever wanted to. It's beautiful. The firefighters have a great place now.
Do you know why they renamed it 99?
This is going to be a statewide, so they're actually naming them like in order.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, so they will all have a new name. Station 2 will, as we know, is closed. That's going to change into something else down the road. It's not quite completed, so I'm not going to talk about it now, but that's going to be something different. So we'll have the 3 stations, but we do have a nice, fully staffed fire department now, which is great. I will tell you, one of the biggest problems right now is getting equipment, and a lot of logistics to this business-wise, but one main company bought out all these companies that build emergency equipment, your fire trucks, your ambulances, and they are not able to produce the product that is needed. So cost of a fire engine, we ordered one over a year ago. We are looking at least another year.
Wow.
And cost has gone up 40 to 50%. It's astronomical. So you're looking at well over $1 million for a fire engine. And so that's one of the big factors that they're dealing with right now. That was the gist of our meeting, because then we went into a 2.5-hour closed door meeting, so that's secret stuff for you guys to learn down the road. Oh no, we did talk a little bit real quick about the Menomonee Avenue reconstruction also.
How's that going? It seems to be going on forever and ever and ever.
It's a huge, huge project.
Yes.
So, yes, and don't ask me to give you the public, I'm not on the Public Works Committee, but, you know, they start with, you know, doing the laterals and doing the underground for the sewage. So we're gonna have a whole summer of this again.
Jeez.
And it's gonna be one way, so you're not gonna be able to come northeast on, here, wait, I wrote it down, so
You come into town, you can only go out of town.
So if you think about ambulance services, emergency services, they have to be able to go to the hospital.
Right.
So you will always be able to go westbound on Menomonee Avenue. Eastbound, you will have to go Town Hall to Main Street to Appleton.
Oh,
There will be tree clearing in March. That's the time they like to take care of that. And, but yeah, that's gonna be a whole summer.
do we just see one more summer, or is there a
It's supposed to
prediction
be
of?
one more summer.
Okay, well, we can live with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Except for when I go pick up my meds.
Lots of good stuff going on in the fall, so great stuff.
All right. Next is, well, would be the school district report. It's not here tonight.
No, David.
So then it's up to you.
It's me, okay. So let's talk Chocolate Falls. So Jackie and Ross, who's the president of the Friends, we did a photo shoot. We made a Jackie made a $600 check, and we went over to Chocolate Falls and we did a photo shoot, and then we shared that all over social media. So, and Chocolate Falls has it up in their window, and hope to have it on display, the large check on display for a while. So that was kind of exciting. Epilogue Books, you all have a flyer here. That's going to be on March 8th, a Saturday. If you haven't been into that bookstore, it is just the cutest little bookstore. And again, here's an opportunity for the library and the community to work together. So from 10 to 5 on Saturday, March 8th, there's going to be a give back event where 20% of the proceeds will go to benefit the library friends, who will in turn, of course, support the library. So if you want to attend, do come and support the community, support the friends, support the library. In May, we were thinking around Mother's Day. We're also working with Poppy and Time. I don't know if you know that. It's a soaps, just a cute little gift store. So
Nice.
they are also going to be teaming up with the Friends for another give back event. More information on that will be coming soon. So the Friends continue to reach out to the community, and personally, I love the partnership that we do with the community and the Friends, and of course the library then benefits too. So then I wanted to share, if I can find my note. Fiddle. Okay, oh, nope, I can't. So Ross Workman and I went to Library Legislation Day on February 1st. I would encourage you all, it's my first time ever going, and it was just such a great event. We actually got to have one-on-one sessions with Dan Knodel and Jody Habish Sinekin. And we, according to Jackie, not everybody has an opportunity to actually meet with their representatives, but we actually sat down with both of them and shared our feelings about libraries, and they in turn shared their feelings about the library. They're all very supportive of the library. So just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I would encourage you all to take advantage of that. So
That's in Madison?
Madison, yep. And during our time between meetings, Ross and I toured the Capitol, so that was really cool. If I did that in 4th grade, I don't remember, so it was good to revisit the Capitol again, and it was a beautiful day. It just inspired me to want to promote and support our library. So again, I would encourage you all to take part in that. It was really great. And they approved their budget, so we did that. And those are my highlights.
All right, thank you, Carol.
By the way, Chocolate Falls chocolate, I think I said it last time, but it's so good if you haven't gone and had cookies.
I think about you though, but can you? Because it's chocolate.
Yeah, well, chocolate's fine.
It's
Yeah,
good, okay.
yeah.
Yep.
No,
Oh,
theirs is super.
it smells like heaven when you walk into that
It
store.
Very, very good.
Yes,
This is why I don't walk in there.
it's a good idea.
That's 'cause-
It's a good idea, Tom.
Right?
But
Unless-
for gifts, it's nice.
Oh,
You
my
can
goodness,
buy
yeah.
gifts.
Or if you don't mind gaining a little bit of weight, you know, but it's all worth it, right?
It's good chocolate.
It's
good
great chocolate. And
yes.
truffles,
no,
oh my
it's-
gosh.
It's
It
healthy.
is very, very
Good for you.
Well, I can even advertise them more. I just went to a cookie decorating thing with them on Sunday, and we made the best cookies, and she taught me how to flood and how to frost, and so that's another cool thing to do. And they do it as it reflects the holidays, so another neat thing.
That's great.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, so next meeting is Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I may or may not be here. Depends on if I get back from Florida in time,
I'll tell you.
because we're driving, so,
Wait, what was the date again?
March 19th.
Okay, okay, I have it. Just with changing this one, I wanted to make sure things didn't
I know I have to.
auto-populate or do something weird in my phone.
Do we have a place on the agenda for, other business, other ideas, comments?
New business?
Well,
We have a
new business has them all marked down as what we're doing. I just didn't know if there was an opportunity I wanted
No, it's
Like a
typically,
regular-
it's typically frowned upon to have a blanket,
to. Okay, perfect.
blanket
Then I was
agenda
looking for
item.
discussion for next time.
Perfect.
It needs to be agendized.
Right.
moving
Got it.
forward.
That's why I asked. So I didn't
Yeah,
want
so
to-
send your stuff to Nicole. Nicole will get it on.
Okay.
Yep.
Will do.
Or just tell us after the meeting.
Yeah, that too. We are adjourned.